I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Wil DeShazo. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I could not be better. At the time of recording, it is early November. I'm here in Birmingham, Alabama, and the city is lovely this time of the year, my friend.
That is great to hear, my friend. I'm glad to know that. Now you do not need to have my email of sunshine, Caribbean sunshine. So you're good to go, right?
I could always use your Caribbean sunshine, though. Come on now.
Will, please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting.
Yeah, so I help innovative millennial entrepreneurs take on their side hustle and bring it into fruition to take it on full time.
Wow. So millennials, ooh, yeah, that's usually the response, right? Millennials, ooh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're
Right.
pushing back the frontiers of ignorance on that demographic for sure.
Yeah, I can definitely say so after listening to the podcast. Wow. Hope is there, right? Not that the millennials don't show hope, but it's like you're seeing wisdom from an early age being shared on a tremendous level. So again, you and your co-host Jonathan are doing an amazing job. Love it.
That means a lot from somebody who's recorded as many episodes as you have, so thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, so tell us then, who did you learn the skill of sharing from?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I have acquired this from a lot of different people over the years who have kind of inspired me. I know that the first podcast I really ever got into was Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income podcast, where he teaches online entrepreneurs. And I began learning how to run a startup and how to grow a startup with little to no budget over the last several years, and have succeeded pretty well with that. And I thought, wow, I can continue to learn this while sharing some of the tips, tricks, and tools I pick up along the way, because there are a lot of people out there who need it. So really and truly, to be honest with you, I'm learning as I go as well. I think we all learn each and every day, but there are a lot of resources out there. Rick Mulready is another great one. Amy Porterfield is another really fantastic one, just to pick up from, implement, and then teach the way that I've learned from following and implementing.
Yeah. So you've been a businessman, an entrepreneur for quite a few, right? I heard when you said you were going to pick up a camera, right? And you listened to the book The Pivot, which is the episode. So was it you or Jonathan that was going to pick up the camera?
That's the truth. Actually, it was me. This was last winter. I was on the way to Atlanta to pick up a pretty nice digital camera. I kind of made the plunge. I said, you know what? I need video. Video is very important, and I'll get into this in a little while. But I think being uncomfortable as an entrepreneur is very, very vital to your success. Not settling for comfort and always being out of your comfort zone. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to pick up this video thing. An opportunity fell in my lap. I was on the way to Atlanta listening to Pat Flynn's podcast that I just mentioned, Smart Passive Income podcast, when he had Jenny Blake, the author of Pivot, on the show. And it really inspired me. And I thought, wow, that is what I'm talking about. I'm buying this book. I'm learning from her. And we were off to the races from there.
Oh, that is amazing. So why will you continue? As you said, there are definitely the ups and downs. You always have to challenge yourself. Why will you continue nevertheless?
I think there's a lot of hunger inside of me to teach others how to be successful. And I'm not someone who says I'm the most successful man in the world, because I am not. I'm very far from it. I'm just an average Joe who's continuing to learn, who has a drive and a passion to learn, but also to share what I learned to other people. I think there are a lot of people in our generation, the millennial generation, who have a dire want and desire way deep down to do their own thing, to make a difference in this world. Millennials are starting more than 2 times the amount of businesses than our parents' generation, that of the baby boomers, at actually 7 years younger than they were, statistically speaking. And there's a lot of information that could be used to help them get that done even quicker at a more profitable rate. And that's what keeps me going. That's what makes me work late nights and early mornings.
That is great. That is great. So, where's the best place for someone to connect with you? Let's say a millennial that wants to get, though I think the information is definitely applicable to not just millennials, but hey, if there's someone out there that wants to connect with you, where would you send them to?
Yeah, sure. Just head over to millennovator.com. That's two L's, two N's. I like to always say millennovator. And we've got some really great resources on there. In fact, we have got something called the Side Hustle Side Launch that will teach you how to launch a website in less than 7 days for less than $1 a day. So it's pretty miraculous.
That's good. That's good. Tell me one other thing, please, that you've done well consistently over the last 3 years.
I think just starting. Does that make sense?
It does.
That sounds very simple, and that sounds like such a very basic thing. But there's so many people in this world who have such brilliant and genuine and original ideas on pen and paper, but they never start them for whatever reason that is, whether it's disenchantment or they get bored or they give up on themselves or there's self-doubt. They never get started, or maybe they're a perfectionist. But the key is in good business is getting your front foot forward and being in the game and just getting your head out there and starting. Because without that, there's nowhere to improve.
Yeah. Now, you have an accounting background, right? So I just want to put that in there. Like, if he's saying this as an accountant, you should definitely take it, the advice, right? What do you think?
As far as like financially getting started in the business realm?
All right, so an accountant is usually the safe guy, right? The person that's saying, hey, you need to make sure the numbers are correct, right? The accountant is the accountant and the entrepreneur. It's like if you were Batman and Robin, right?
Yeah, they are.
So
they can be two very different. And I will say I'm not a detail-oriented person, and I am pretty risk-averse. However, I do believe that the number one thing that you can do to avoid risk is to learn and to invest in yourself. I think you're your number one resource. So get out there. There are so many free resources out there for you as an entrepreneur to pick up on and to learn before you dive headfirst. And I always encourage people to start small. Start after your 9 to 5 or before your 9 to 5. Keep your day job and keep grinding. Make some side income here and there. Test a market. Test an idea. Don't jump in full-fledged, like you said. The last thing that I would ever want anybody to do is cut off their only income stream to be a broke entrepreneur. So test your market first. Stay risk averse. Sure.
Love it. All right. So how does it make you feel being a millennial that is not only operating in the entrepreneurial world, but also being a millennial that is sharing the information out there?
It's thrilling. It really is. I've got more people reaching out to me wanting to just talk about a business plan that they have. When my inbox has people my inbox is full of people who have an idea, who don't know where to begin, who just want to bounce an idea off of somebody. And that's really gratifying personally. Number one, knowing that people are looking to me in that regard, but two, and the real root of it is knowing that I can help people change and tweak a couple of things just to get them to see success. And for them to think, wow, out of that 10 minutes or 15 minutes just chatting together a year ago, here I am. And I think it's very important to look at that. Like, for instance, with Jenny, as we mentioned, we had an episode with Jenny Blake, the author of the book Pivot. I read her book and I realized I'm doing this. This is what I'm talking. That is inspiration. That's motivation enough to do so. And when you share those stories, I shared that story to Jenny and she was blown away. She was so excited. And my goal is to hear that. I would love to hear that moving forward every single day, to have an email in my inbox that says, you helped me do this. That's my inspiration.
Suggest to someone that's listening why they should start.
Why they should start? Oh my gosh, in entrepreneurship or?
Yeah, most definitely. You were saying, there's people out there that don't start, right? Like they have great ideas, but just to start. So why would you suggest to someone out there? In fact, suggest to someone listening, someone in the park, someone driving to work, why they should start.
Oh my goodness. The personal growth that you achieve, and don't be afraid of failure. I want to say so many people are worried about what other people may think if they fail, but you can't really and truly, you cannot fail when it comes to business. You're learning so much about yourself, and just because you fail, and Jenny mentioned this on our show, just because you fail doesn't mean that you lost the opportunity. There is so much to be gained from failing, and don't get me wrong, I've started several LLCs that have completely failed. I thought when I came out of school that I would start a travel company dedicated to college students, taking them across Europe. It failed miserably. But what I learned from that is how to launch a real website at what you really need and what you need to focus on as a startup, because you don't really need to look at certain things, but there are certain things you must pay attention to. And I had no idea of that. So just by starting, you're able to learn so much and grow so much as a person. And I'll say too, you should never quit until it's taking away from your human value. If you realize you're not learning as a person and you're not getting self gratification and you're not growing as a human being within your business, then I think it's fair for you to quit it. Otherwise, don't stop.
Love it. Amazing audience. We are live with Wil DeShazo, again, the podcast host of the Millennovator. There we go.
Millennovator.
The Millennovator. Yes. For me, it's a tongue twister. It's my tongue, right? It's my Trinidadian tongue. So yeah, do check that out. Well, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water.
I can feel it. I like this place already.
Will, what is your earliest childhood memory? My
earliest childhood memory has got to be, and is it okay if I share a very embarrassing moment?
Yeah, sure. Please, we embrace that.
I remember when I walked into, in the early 90s and 80s, of course, too, but in the early to mid 90s, there were these things called Radio Shacks, right? And you could walk in and there was just a wall of video monitors that a wall of camcorders were recording on. And I'll never forget walking into that store. I may have been 4 or 5 years old, and my pants fell down in front of them. And there had to have been what seemed to be 20 or 30 TVs with me standing in front of them, butt naked with no pants around my ankles, right? And just the most embarrassing thing in the world. But, it made me extremely uncomfortable. But I got to say, I think I remembered it because that was the first time I was really and truly cognizantly uncomfortable, Yeah. And I think today it's carried over. I think I expose myself as an entrepreneur in many, 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 many ways. But I'm not afraid to do that anymore. And I'm not embarrassed like I was when I was a child in front of the 20 television screens with my pants around my ankles. So I think that's got to be the embarrassing number one first memory of mine.
Yeah. So you will be episode just after 14:30, like around 14 something, right? So, but it's intriguing, right? That I'm still fascinated by the uniqueness of an earliest childhood memory and what it poses. So anyway, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Yes, please do.
I do appreciate very much the value you've put in there in terms of your preparation now for what is uncomfortable, right? I think though another switch to the picture, if you would, is the value of the technology that was available to multiply the effects of what occurred in your life. And to see that you are using that technology now to do exactly that and help others as well is pretty fascinating.
That is pretty incredible that the camera that I stood in front of embarrassed as a child is now the one I stand in front of. That's a platform for my message, right?
Yeah. And it definitely it's like 10xing the message, right? So I do love that. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
I think oh gosh. I think when I was 12, it was the early 2000s. I think I was probably still hanging on to All Star by Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
Despite that coming out in the late 90s, that was one of my faves, and I held on to it for years.
That's cool. Yeah, I love how you could connect the names to these things. You're definitely an all-star. And I think a few people mouths were smashed when they looked at that camera screen when your pants dropped, right?
I was not an all-star in that moment. I'll tell you that much. At least not in my mind.
Oh, you could imagine if you had that for YouTube. Oh my gosh, viral.
Absolutely, that would be. You talk about 10x. That's 100,000x right there. Yes.
Oh, well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to go pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Wil?
I am prepared. Let's do it.
Wil, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
I have.
Are you married?
I am not, but I am engaged.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. Oh, yeah, tell me the name. I'll put you on the spot.
Yes, her name is Haley, and we are to be wed in early May of 2018. We're so excited. We're doing all the planning today.
That's great.
And every day going forward.
Yeah. Fun times. Hi, Haley. All right. Do you have children?
I do not currently.
Okay. Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I absolutely do.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
I do not.
How about 3 hours a week?
3 hours a week? I would say yes because of college football. Yes.
Sweet. What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
I would give it more than 8.
All right. Well, after 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, thereafter I came up with a workbook, the name of it being called Yours, Your Own Unique Real Self. The idea is you answer questions and you uncover the next step, which is your own unique real statement, your mission, aka mission. If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Wil DeShazo, what would you say that is?
Yes, I think that I am a goofy entrepreneur who is not afraid to share what works and what doesn't, despite how that may make me appear to the hindsight or to the stranger's eye.
Yeah, I love it. Like I just saw your pants fall.
You know, that's me, and I'm not afraid to hide behind that camera. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I love it. Hey, Wil, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
You know, I just want you guys to soak up everything that each and every one of these interviews has to offer, because it is so vitally important to learn from other people and other cultures across this world. And I really appreciate what you're doing with this. It's a beautiful thing.
Hey, I appreciate that. Wil DeShazo, thank you, my friend, for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Angel, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.